Not all stories have a happy ending. Tennis has had its share of teenage prodigies. Tracy Austin won the US Open in 1979 when she was only 16 years old. As an unseeded 17-year-old, Boris Becker won the 1985 Gentlemen's Singles Championship at Wimbledon. Jennifer Capriati and Martina Hingis were teenage stars when they won Olympic gold and the Australian Open respectively. As lofty as those achievements were for the aforementioned Hall of Famers, nothing from a youthful brigade of tennis stars compares to what Maureen Connolly accomplished as a precocious 18-year-old in 1953. She became the first woman in history to win a Grand Slam, a calendar year Grand Slam. Only two other female players can boast of the same achievement: Margaret Court in 1970 and Steffi Graf in 1988. It took 15 years after Don Budge earned his Grand Slam in 1938 for tennis to see another player win all majors in the same calendar year. After winning the Grand Slam, Maureen Connolly was dubbed Little Mo, referring to the firepower of Big Mo, the USS Missouri. Maureen Connolly had a magnificent career. She won 12 major titles, 9 in singles, 2 in doubles, and 1 in mixed doubles. But her career lasted only 4 years, from 1951 to 1954. It ended in heartbreaking fashion only a year after she won the Grand Slam. A car struck her while she was riding her horse, known as Colonel Maryboy, severely crushing her right leg. Even without a prognosis from a doctor, which would later diagnose Connolly with a broken leg and crushed muscles and crushed tendons, her intuition kicked in. She thought to herself, "I knew immediately I'd never play again." In 1969, at the age of 34, Maureen Connolly died from cancer. Her far too short life, coupled with her far too short tennis career, led many tennis historians to wonder that had fate dealt Maureen Connolly a different hand, she probably would have been the best female tennis player in history. Maureen Connolly was 5 foot and 4 inches tall. She was a hard swinging baseliner from San Diego, California. At the age of 10, she was coached by the legendary Elena Tennant, who turned Alice Marble into a multiple major champion. Maureen Connolly struck the ball cleanly and forcefully, powering past her opponents with a game that relied heavily on ground strokes and little on net play. Writing in the New York Times, esteemed tennis writer Alison Danzig said, "Maureen, with her perfect timing, fluency, balance and confidence, has developed the most overpowering stroke of its kind the game has known." Despite her youth, which clearly did not impede her maturity on the tennis court, Maureen Connolly won the 1951 US Women's National Singles Championship at the age of 16 years, 11 months and 19 days. She remained the youngest US female champion until 1979, when Tracy Austin won the title at 16 years, 8 months and 28 days. In 1997, Martina Hingis won her first US Open at 16 years, 11 months, 8 days, and at that time Martina Hingis occupied the number 2 spot. The difference for Maureen Connolly, though, is that she won 3 straight US titles in 1951, 1952 and 1953, all before turning 19. Maureen Connolly's 9 major singles titles, 3 each at Wimbledon and the US Nationals, 2 at the French and 1 at the Australian, would be a remarkable feat if earned over 2 decades. Connolly won them in 4 years, 9 of them consecutively, after losing early in the 1949 and 1950 US Nationals. Connolly was never a singles runner-up, a perfect 9 for 9 in championship matches, and in those victories she lost only one set. That came in 1951 when she defeated Shirley Fry 6-3, 1-6, 6-4 at Forest Hills. The rest of her victories were in straight sets. She was unbeaten in 50 consecutive matches and compiled a 53 wins and 2 defeats combined singles record at the majors. Mind-boggling numbers. American Doris Hart was on the losing end of 4 matches against Maureen Connolly and 3 during her Grand Slam run: the 1952 US Championships, the 1953 French Championships, Wimbledon, and the US. Maureen Connolly kick-started her Grand Slam journey by defeating Julia Sampson 6-3, 6-2 at the Australian in 1953. She won her first and third Wimbledon titles over Louis Brault 7-5, 6-3 in 1952 and 6-2, 7-5 in 1954. The only non-American Connolly defeated in her major singles triumphs was French woman Ginette Bouquet at the 1954 French 6-4, 6-1. Connolly wasn't as perfect in women's doubles, winning 2 championships in 6 attempts. The 1953 Australian alongside Sampson and the 1954 French with Nell Hall Hopman. Her one mixed doubles title came at the 1954 French with Aussie Lou Hode. As a member of the Whiteman Cup team from 1951 to 1954, Connolly led the US to 4 straight championships and went undefeated 7-0 in singles. Since 1973, the Maureen Connolly Challenge Trophy has featured the best female players 18 and younger from the United States and Great Britain. Connolly's life story entitled Little Mo was made into a television movie and first aired on NBC on 5th September 1978. Her autobiography, aptly titled Forehand Drive, was published in 1957. In 2017, Maureen Connolly was posthumously inducted into the Irish American Hall of Fame in Chicago under the sports category. I hope you liked this video.